It's June 10th, 2013. Gamers everywhere were restless. Bungie, the acclaimed studio behind the fantastic Halo franchise, finally revealed their highly anticipated new IP, Destiny, a vast new sci-fi action-adventure RPG with a rich universe to explore, new alien threats to battle, and lots of new loot to collect. I mean, a rival to my favorite looter shooter made by the developers of my favorite FPS story? Holy crap, it's like an early birthday gift. Because my birthday was in October, and the game came out in September. Anyway, fast forward to September 9th, 2014, and saying I was excited to finally play Destiny would be the biggest understatement of this century. The moment of truth was here. My squad was assembled and ready to go. My friends would fill the role of the Hunter and Titan while I took up the mantle of the Warlock. We cleaned up our schedule. We were set. What would we do first? Would we experience the next chapter of Bungie's space adventures? Would we hunt down some cool beasts and unique bosses for a chance at some awesome loot? Would we take to the arena to prove our mettle in the Crucible? Oh man, this is gonna be great! Wait a minute. Did I say great? Oh, I'm sorry. I meant a colossal bore fest of the highest degree. The story sucked, the Crucible was a mess, the grind for loot was infuriating, and the actual loot was boring as sin, and the only good thing in vanilla was the raid, and you weren't even guaranteed something to show for it. Oh, you sacked up and used the relic for the Templar. Well, good job, fuckface. Here's your 10 trillionth pair of gauntlets. That guy who did the least amount of damage and was the first one to die at each checkpoint? Nah, he gets a Fatebringer. But you? No. No, see, your hard-earned work as the backbone of this raid team gets you some duplicate fucking gauntlets. Dark Below comes out, and oh look, it's the exact same fucking thing as vanilla Destiny, but they charge you $20 extra. What a fucking ripoff, dude. House of Wolves comes out, and with my expectations astronomically low, managed to be somewhat decent, but it gimped the best part of Destiny and the Dark Below in favor of some shitty Horde mode. Fucking hell, dude, it can't get much worse than this, right? Well, go fucking figure. The Taken King comes out at a whopping $40 goddamn dollars, and oh shit, it's actually not half bad. The story is pretty good, and it actually has some pretty cool missions in it. The new subclasses are really fun to use. This new infusion system is genuinely fantastic, and we got this crazy new Crucible mode called Mayhem, and it's really fucking fun. You know what? Not bad, Bungie. Not bad. Ooh, the Rise of Iron, eh? Alright, looks pretty cool, Siva? Oh, okay, so this is gonna be sort of like the Flood. Alright, fuck it, I'm on board, let's have it.
Well done, my young wolf. Siva is gone, and the Iron Lords are at peace.
Nope, I guess we're back to square one. Looks like the Taken King being anything close to good was a complete accident. Well, $100 later, I think Destiny ended on a good note. By the end of this journey, PvE players had multiple playlists of activities to play and 4 kick-ass raids to conquer in the week. Crucible players had many interesting modes to play, and even had a hardcore Trials of Osiris and the occasional Iron Banner events to take part in. Times were really great if you were a fan of Destiny. Then, it happened. A new light shined in the distance. It's happening! Light the signals! Light the signals! Sound the alarms! Destiny 2's on the way! Come May 19th, and well, I think most of you know that I was severely disappointed by the gameplay reveal. But I still held high hopes that Bungie would take what they've learned these last 3 years and make Destiny 2 a real, proper sequel. Maybe now we'll finally get what we've been promised all those years ago.
Kill yourself.
Alright, if that doesn't make it crystal clear, Destiny 2 is a colossal disappointment of the highest fucking caliber. Almost even matching the first game. You know, as much as I had hoped that Bungie would make Destiny 2 a good sequel considering how the first game ended, I still couldn't help but set the bar low to avoid another disappointing launch. And even when I did that, I still walked away from this game thinking that it was worse than Destiny. Yeah, I said it. In fact, I am so severely disappointed with Destiny 2 that I just had to talk about it in video form. I just could not bottle it up. You could even say this video is much more akin to some kind of review or something, and I would have had it much earlier out, but, you know, Irma and stuff. But being forced to wait to post my impressions of this game did allow me to play through some of the events and add on to my impressions, and I feel like now I can provide a complete overview of Destiny 2 and where it could potentially be going. Strap yourselves in, boys. We're in it for the long haul. Alright, So with all the new promises made by Bungie, it's safe to say that the new story was focused on the most as being, well, the proper story. Well, after playing through it 3 times now, well, technically 4 because I had to delete my 3rd character, I can safely say that, yeah, there's definitely a story here. On a completely vapid and meaningless level, yeah, there is indeed a story here. Let's get down to it, shall we? Wow, only 5 seconds in and I'm already disappointed. Congrats on the new record, Bungie. Just like the original Destiny, you start off by picking your class and creating your character. Well, I say create, but also similar to the first game, the actual character creator is pathetically lacking in any meaningful customization options. In fact, it's so similar to the first game that it's actually the same fucking thing. Come on, Bungie, there's only so much laziness I can handle. More hairstyles, in-depth facial features, facial hair, something, anything. Give me something to make my character seem even remotely unique. Oh my god, let me just get off this before I get stuck ranting about it. So, yeah, the character creator is garbage and ultimately pointless, but whatever. What about what matters? Your class. How you'll kill shit. Well, the 3 original player classes are here, the Hunter, Warlock, and Titan, and they're barely any different from the last game, so yeah. Well, I already have a Warlock and a Hunter, so I might as well go ahead and try the Titan. So starting the game will grace you with one of 2 things. If you choose to carry over a save from Destiny 1, you're shown a list of milestones, including your original raid completions and lighthouse visit. And even goes as far as showing exactly who it was that you did them with, which I thought was a pretty cool addition. If you instead choose to start a new character, you're shown a cutscene that gives you a baseline understanding of how the universe you're about to be thrust into is.
You are a guardian. This is your destiny.
After making your character, the story finally starts and we see that something, later revealed to be a subset of elite cabal known as the Red Legion, has sabotaged Earth's defense network, which, by the way, I have to ask, how exactly is that even possible? So after all the shit that went down with a literal hive god and a super virus, you mean to tell me that something can just waltz right up to our defense network with just seemingly no resistance? Suspension of disbelief. Oh, jeez. Whatever. Absurd circumstances aside, we finally get to see
battle stations!
And they end up... Basically, this cutscene does what it needs to. It sets up the plot and the stakes, immediately gets you invested, and ends with a pretty intimidating image of the Traveler in its cage. It's fine. We then see our voiceless character and our ghost returning from... I don't know, killing orcs for the 10 trillionth time? Only to discover the last city in ruin. Alright, shit's going down and I'm ready to shoot some shit. With this little pea shooter. What, you couldn't start me off with a rifle or something? Where the fuck's my Kavastov? I'm just fucking with you. You get some better weapons later down the line. And I really have to give credit where credit is due here. These first couple of missions have some really good environmental storytelling. Coupled with the music, which as always with this franchise is fucking amazing, and I really did feel genuinely affected by these events. Anyway, you make your way to the courtyard of the tower, and oh look, a wave defense mission. Seriously? This is the type of thing that you kick your game off with? The exact same thing that made vanilla Destiny such a tedious and boring mess? I'd like to give you the benefit of the doubt since there are some good levels in this game, but you're making that feat a little difficult when you put this kind of shit front and fucking center. The one saving grace about this part is that new players can join in and fight alongside you, making it actually feel like Guardians are being called in to fight back against this new threat. Anyway, after some more shooty bang bang, you get a lift from Amanda Holiday, the shipwright of the tower, but don't sweat it if you don't remember her. She only really got some attention in one cutscene from The Taken King.
Hold on back there!
This cutscene is making me remember something. Some problem I had with the last game that was never addressed. What the hell was it? I'll come back to it later. Let's just move on.
Come on, big guy. Do something.
Clever foreshadowing, Bungie. And by that I mean, what exactly was the point of that line beyond foreshadowing events later on with all the subtlety of Shadow of War's loot boxes? I don't even know why this line irritates me so much, but it just... I'm just gonna move on. Basically, fuck this line. So anyway, while on the Red Legion's command ship, you do more shooty shooty bang bang and take out the ship's shield generator, and you finally meet the main man himself.
How do we come back from this?
You don't. Welcome to a world without light.
Are you serious?
What?
That was your best line.
I just read what Bungie gave.
I don't care what they told you to say. It was still fucking stupid.
Well, I don't know what you want from me.
You know what? Let me see your script. I got a better line for you.
Are you kidding me?
Just read it. At least this one's funny.
Fine. Welcome to a world where trailer quotes are considered good writing.
There. Isn't that one much better?
It wasn't even funny.
Entirely subjective. Well, anyway, you can fuck off now.
Excuse me?
Oh, you can go now. We're done.
I have your traveler. What are you talking about?
Look, pal, I've killed a big black sludge ball, still not entirely sure what it is, a Vex Time Lord, 2 Hive Gods, a fallen mercenary, and a mechanized monstrosity dozens of times, not to mention the millions of your race on Mars these last 3 years. Sure, you've gotten this far, but is it really even on the table for some juiced up talking turtle in a suit of power armor to take down what all of the above couldn't handle? I thought not. Now take your giant claw and your army of turtles and get the fuck out of here. No! You have no idea how long I've held onto that skit. I hope it was worth it. So anyway, after a fall that for some reason doesn't kill your now lightless and therefore mortal guardian, you're tasked with getting the hell out of the city because it's overrun with Red Legion. Not bad. Way to really shake it up with the level design, Bungie. Is what I would be saying if there was actually some level of tension throughout this entire mission. This bit where you're slowly scrabbling through the last city, despite having a decent atmosphere about it, is presented as though you need to escape the city undetected, but it's completely unfailable. I'm not joking. This little section where you're supposed to take cover beneath a crashed ship to avoid the patrolling spotlight is simply for show. It's as though Bungie didn't expect people to purposely try to fail to see if they actually knew what the hell they were doing. Whatever, it's a small gripe, so let's continue. After reuniting with your ghost, you finally make it to the outskirts of the city, and this whole bit is the pinnacle of environmental storytelling for this game. Guardians who were once immortal lie dead in their camps, your slow pace lets it really sink in that your home for 3 years is now in ruin, and the music. Oh, that music. Your ghost explains to you that without the light, you are now mortal once again, meaning you can actually die for good now. Okay, I think the ghost might have misspoken. Yeah, you're not immortal anymore, but that's perfectly fine. You now have this epic new power to reverse time when you die. It's sort of like Whis' temporal do-over ability, but it triggers upon death. Okay, I know this is just a thing that games have where you redo a checkpoint if you fail, but you can't expect me to just accept this checkpoint system when you've spent the better of 3 years and the majority of your marketing for this game telling me that respawning is actually just your ghost returning you to life. It's a canonical thing. This is a thing. Your ghost can canonically bring you back to life. I'd love nothing more than to get immersed in your quote-unquote story, but that's a rather difficult task when your game is this inconsistent. It's implied that this Falcon is guiding you during this bit.
It's that Falcon again. Is it following us? Or are we following it?
Thanks, Ghost. Most games try to subtly hint at things like this, but you saying it out loud really adds to the experience. You ultimately end up meeting the owner of that Falcon, Soraya Hawthorne. Her defining character trait is that she hates Guardians. Don't worry, they beat this into your head multiple times in case you missed her sarcastically calling you
Guardian.
By the way, it's this cutscene that really hammers home just how bad it is that your character has no voice. Now, I like silent protagonists like Doomguy, but unlike his intentions being very clearly expressed through his actions alone, everything your character would be saying to someone is either done through some awkward nod or through your ghost. It makes it even more awkward when your ghost clearly has some interactions with you, making this some weird silent protagonist dynamic duo hybrid, and it just doesn't work. Anyway, after taking off with a group of refugees, the flow of the cutscenes grinds to a complete halt to tell you that you're now watching a Gaul scene. Because a dynamic transition sequence it was just too confusing for your player base of what you probably assume to be a bunch of children, that you need to put up a big fucking billboard that screams, "This is a scene with the villain in it!" Seriously, you don't even need this upside down U transition scene. You could have simply faded into it, no fuss. You even started it with an image of the Traveler in its cage. Did you think we as players wouldn't be able to clue into the fact that we'd be watching a scene with Gaul in it after seeing that?
I would have words with my guest.
Oh no, not the speaker. Oh man, I'm so worried about what might happen to that guy that did the thing and something in Destiny 1. I don't fucking... Whatever will we do? The game cuts back to your character and the refugees arriving at a safe haven called the Farm, which will act as a new social space. At least until the end of the game, when it becomes functionally useless, save for having one character that you can buy a gun from. I'm serious. That's the only reason this space exists in the long term. Regardless, because of a vision you had before you woke up during the last city's downfall, yeah, that happened by the way, you make your way to a corrupted shard of the Traveler, and you get your light back. Yep, not even a single mission after it sank in that you were now without your old powers and you already get them back. You see that up there? You see that? See that? Is that a bird? Is that a plane? Original joke? No, that's just the game's dramatic tension flying away. Why even wait anymore? We're fucking immortal again. Let's just go kick Gaul's ass. Oh, wait. Sorry, a story's supposed to happen. So when you get your powers back, you're granted access to one of the new subclasses, Dawnblade, Arcstrider, and Sentinel. I'll get into stuff about classes, weapons, and the sort later on, but for now, just know that these classes are pretty fun to mess with until you encounter a fatal flaw with this game's progression. So you get your powers back, and Hawthorne wants you to use them to help out a man named Devrim K in the European Dead Zone, which is the first real area that you can explore. Now, he's set up as a sniper in the church tower of the EDZ, but unlike Mordecai in Borderlands 2, Devrim doesn't do jack diddly squat in that tower. No support fire, no long-range buffs, he's literally just there as a vendor and a quest giver, nothing more. Anyway, he sends you off to do a sort of tutorial-style mission that teaches you about what you'll be doing in the patrol zones. You'll be collecting region chests, exploring lost sectors, and doing some public events which now have a heroic modifier to them. I'm not sure what the purpose of doing them is, since I've gotten exotics from non-heroic events, but they at least make them a little bit more interesting to do. By the way, remember when I said this after Destiny 2's gameplay reveal? The idea that the new planets in Destiny 2 are chock full of side quests, secrets, and dungeons, which the guys at Bungie refer to as lost sectors, is a great assertion to make, albeit not really a new thing for RPG games in the first place. But this could easily just be a bigger version of the patrols that we already have now. You know, those little piece of shit nodes that nobody really cares about that might be one of the most egregious examples of repetitive busywork? So you'll forgive me for not exactly accepting spoon-fed lines like rewarding side missions or learning more about the world of Destiny 2. Big shocker, my concerns bore fruit. These lost sectors are as much real dungeons as Forza is a first-person shooter. These unique bosses are merely stronger versions of already existing enemy types. They don't even have a new attack unique to them. They fight the exact same way as the normal enemy type, only now they have more health and deal more damage. And don't even get me started on that whole bit about fleshing out the lore of the world. Afterward, Devrim sends you to Hawthorne, who set up a comms beacon high in the mountains with a signal booster to call refugees to the farm. This mission is as basic as you can get. Very typical of the Destiny formula. You go here, shoot at things. Go here, shoot at more things. End here, surprise wave defense! It truly astonishes me that Bungie actually stuck to this formula after all the shit that they've learned after the Taken King. So you give Hawthorne the signal booster, and you end up receiving a message from Stoic Asshole. I mean Zavala, that he's forming a resistance on Titan. Hawthorne gets pissy that you plan on, or I should say your ghost plans for us to go there, and yeah, that's it. This game really makes no effort to really make me give a shit about Hawthorne's dislike for Guardians, and anytime she throws her little tantrum, all I end up doing is rolling my eyes. There's nothing all that interesting with this scene, save for this garbage and cliched line of dialogue.
We are not so different, your traveler and I.
Basically, Gaul just reaffirms that he wants the light. He also states this.
We've learned that one of your guardians has reconnected to the light.
Wait, what? One of them? Then, who are these guys? Now, you might try to tell me that this is just one guardian in the context of the story, but when you take into account the quests that open up Crucible and Strikes, both Shaxx and Zavala are basically acknowledging that there are tons of other guardians who got their light back before the end of the game. Unless they want you to party up with and compete against lightless guardians? What the fuck is the matter with you? I wouldn't be so hung up on this if Destiny 2 as a whole wasn't so inconsistent. So anyway, you fly to Titan, and that's what I was trying to remember earlier. Spaceships are totally fucking useless in this game. There's still nothing but slightly customizable loading screens. The only neat addition to the ships is that they let you change your spawn animation, but the ships themselves don't fucking do anything. Bungie, it doesn't even have to be space combat, just add something. A method of active navigation where you actually steer towards your destination, passing asteroids that you can shoot, the ability to fucking wiggle them. Anything will do. You know something's wrong when the free-to-play Warframe allows you to do more with your ship than a AAA game with the funding of Activision. Holy Stop. I'll be stuck on this forever if I don't move on. Oh, Jesus Christ. Okay, so you make it to Titan only to find out that it's been overrun by the Hive. You know, you have to wonder why Zavala would call Guardians to an area overrun by space zombies. It's pretty hard to miss that big-ass blob of tendrils in the background. And actually, speaking of the backgrounds, I think Titan is probably my favorite of the new explorable areas. Just something about this big station on a moon almost entirely covered by water just looks so right to me. It would have been pretty nice if Bungie went as far as to add some environmental dangers to this place, like the tides reaching a little too high and briefly flooding the station, but it's already amazing visually, so I'll give it a pass. Anyway, this other really well-developed character, Sloane, who is so recognizable that I mistook her for Amanda Holliday on numerous occasions, tasks you with powering the station so that you can decrypt some Red Legion codes with potentially valuable information, given that you now have your powers back. By the way, has anyone ever stopped to consider telling Zavala, Ikora, and Cayde about the corrupted shard? I mean, it's clear that it didn't run out of power after you initially got your light back, since you revisited twice more, so at the very least you can get Zavala and Cayde their powers back, since they're the first two of the Vanguard you come across. Whatever, after powering on the station, you're sent to get a powerful CPU from the Arcology. What's the Arcology, you might ask? I don't know, something about colonization or something? Whatever. You do some more shooty bang bang, I'm really starting to lose my patience with this crap, and you eventually grab the CPU, but escaping isn't so easy. In order to escape the onslaught of Hive coming your way, you're given a tank-like vehicle to barrel your way out of there. Oh shit, this is actually pretty cool! Or at least it was, until you realize that not only can you not shoot at all, but you actually have to try to lose because this shit isn't tense at all. It's just boring, but points for changing it up, I guess. After decrypting the Red Legion data, we learn of a star destroyer called the Almighty that literally consumes planets and moons and leaves nothing but an exploding star in its wake. That's some hardcore shit right there, but in all seriousness, did we really need a second reason to stop Gaul from taking the light, or is it just an unspoken rule with space adventure games where there must be some kind of Death Star-like weapon involved? Regardless, Zavala sends you to reform the Vanguard so you can stop this massive weapon and march on the last city. You start off by going to a centaur called Nessus. Last I checked, this was a centaur, not some weird icy moon thing. Anyway, you pick up the signal from Cayde's ghost, which was boosted by an AI named Failsafe. And let me just say that the events that take place in this area are probably the best in the game, if only by the fact that Bungie actually tried to insert some meaningful humor here. In fact, I'd wager that Failsafe has a discount Claptrap and Nathan Fillion was trying a little too hard to pull off a Handsome Jack impression. So apparently Cayde got himself trapped in a teleportation loop while he was messing with the Vex teleporter, and now it's your job to get him out.
Listen, don't ask me how this happened. I don't have time to explain what I don't have time to understand.
Warning.
I bet they were so proud of that line. Well, I'll tell you right now, Bungie, I didn't think it was funny. In fact, all it did was remind me of how shit your storytelling has been since the beginning of this train wreck of a franchise. After doing even more shooty bang bang, Cayde then tells you that if you deal with the original Vex teleporter, you can break the loop and free him.
Quick, hurry, come on. I don't know how long this portal's gonna stick.
Cayde? What have you...
Stop. Look. Long story, and it may look like I don't know what I'm doing, but I do. Maybe not. Doesn't matter. Killing the power source at the origin point should break the loop and get me out of the portal system. Have you got that? Say you've got it. Say something!
Fine, I'll say it. We got it, Cade.
Are you fucking serious? The one goddamn time my guy would have opened his mouth and you choose now to cut him off. I mean, look at him. Even my own character is irritated by this shit. Bungie isn't even ashamed of gimping his voice. They're like, who wants to listen to your boring custom character, right? You like Nolan North, right? He's pretty funny in Deadpool. Listen to his fucking robot voice.
Oh my cotton socks! Did you not hear what I just said?
I'm guessing this is why they don't like him leaving the tower.
Fuck you. After even more shooty bang bang and topped off with a goddamn wave defense mission again. Oh, Jesus Christ. You make your way to the Exodus block where Cade and Failsafe are hunkered down at.
I was hoping the Fallen and Vex would finish each other off on...
Oh, hi there, reused assets. Where's your four brothers? Seriously, not only is this the exact same reused boss from the first game, but even fucking worse, he's a fucking bullet sponge. I thought we were past this, Bungie. Did you learn nothing from the last game? Is this some kind of sick fucking joke? After finally beating those two mini-bosses, Cade tells you that you can find Ikora on Io. Oh. Okay. Well, I guess we're going to Io. Now, this place is interesting in the fact that, according to Ikora, this is the last place the Traveler touched. Why is this important? Well, in typical Destiny fashion, there's not really anything in the game that explains this well, and all we know is that it's a sacred place to a Guardian. The Red Legion are here to do something. I'm not entirely sure why they're here, but they're there, so that means it's bad. At least that's the logic that Ikora has for sending you to the Cabal base on Io to find out exactly what they're doing there. I'll be totally honest with you, I'm not sure what the point of this part of the game even was. You walked away from the events of Io with essentially the same information that you entered with, save for the fact that you can't simply destroy the Almighty for fear of taking the Sun with it. And this was discovered by some jackoff named Azure Mir. Who is he? Nobody knows. He's just some condescending asshole whose motivation for helping you are that he wants to prove that he's smarter than Zavala. I think. So after Ikora sends you off, it finally started to dawn on me that so much of this game's playtime that I've spent sprinting from point A to point B on these large sprawling maps with fuck all in them is all because the game, for some fucked reason, doesn't give you a sparrow until the literal end of the fucking game. Who thought that was a good idea? I barely noticed it on Nessus since I had the colorful dialogue of Cade and Failsafe when I was running around, but on Io, I'm stuck with the most boring of the three Vanguard and some asshole whom I have no context for, nor a reason to care about. I was bored to literal tears during almost the entire time I've spent on Io. Oh look, the Taken's back. Why are they here again? Apparently they're always drawn to the Traveler's energy. So why weren't they the first ones to attack the tower and not the Cabal? Last I checked, the tower was always chock full of Guardians, so wouldn't that have attracted the Taken? Whatever. The Taken coming back was just a segue for Ikora to announce,
"The Taken will always be drawn to the Traveler's energy. They are no longer Fallen or Hive or Cabal. Or exchange them with the dark powers he stole. Wait. Is Gaul's plan to do the same, but with the light? That has to be it."
Well, no shit, Einstein. Glad to know that we've established a point that's been made since the beginning of the fucking game. So what was the point to coming to Io in the first place if we're just gonna learn what we already know? God, let me just get through the rest of this fucking part, because I really fucking hated Io. So for some reason unknown to any rational human being, Asher decides to help you in devising a plan to take down the Almighty by visiting a Warmind vault to see if it has any information on it. Why would it have that kind of information? I don't know, just ask the goblin in my closet. I bet he can give a better reason than anything Bungie can come up with.
"We'll use a Warmind, part of an interplanetary defense network, to scan the Almighty."
Okay, it can scan the Almighty. I don't fucking care, dude. I stopped giving a fuck eons ago. You know, as much as I hated the Taken back in the first game, there's this bittersweet sense of relief whenever I get to fight them in Destiny 2, mainly because they're the only enemy type in the game that actually requires some level of competence to beat. The same goes for the mini-boss at the end of the level. It's the only boss in the game where I had to think on my feet, pick my targets, and use my abilities smartly. Anyway, like I said earlier, we find out that if we simply destroy the Almighty, it'll take the Sun with it. This is the second best cutscene in the game behind the first one, for this reason alone.
What is the price of such immortality.
Devotion. Self-sacrifice. Death.
Death. Explain.
Devotion inspires bravery. Bravery inspires sacrifice. Sacrifice leads to death. So, feel free to kill yourself.
Beneath my mask, Sticker is the face of devotion and sacrifice. I will not take the light by force. To do so would be to admit failure. And I never fail.
Yeah, because trapping the Traveler in a cage is totally not a cowardly below-the-belt move. Seriously, it's painful how they try to set up Gaul as a sympathetic villain, but it all falls so flat, and Gaul just ends up as a boring one-note villain that nobody gives a shit about. Anyway, you head back to the farm, and with the Vanguard together discuss how to deal with the Almighty and take back the city. And of course, you saw this one coming.
Hawthorne, it's one thing for us to put our lives on the line, but this doesn't have to be your fight. You're not a
guardian? You think you've cornered the market on sacrifice? You forget that we've had to survive without the light all our lives. Once upon a time, that big white ball in the sky was there for all of us. I think it's about time we return the favor. Guardians or not.
Fuck off, you moody bitch. No one cares. In fact, I still barely know who you are, let alone what makes you hate Guardians so much, so any attempt to make me sympathize with you will fall right on its face. While the Vanguard preps for the assault on the city, you're sent to a nearby Cabal base to kill a guy named Thumos and take his key codes to his ship. In order to infiltrate that base, Amanda Holiday gives you a fun little present.
heads up.
You got us a tank?
You got them a tank? How come I never got a tank?
You know you just break it.
I got nothing. It's a good mission. Okay, you're here for my ranting, so if I had one gripe with this mission, it's that the challenge is almost non-existent, since if your tank is ever low on health, you can just spawn a new one. But it was a fun mission overall. You go in and once again do some more shooty bang bang, kill Thumos, take his key code, steal his ship, and BAM! You're on the Almighty. Why did I blitz through most of this? 1, it's the same shit you've done over and over, and 2, you don't care. So you're on the Almighty, and the first question I had was, wait, we're this close to the sun and we're not getting burnt to a crisp? Well, that's kind of lame. Even Infinite Warfare had a level that took into account the game's environment, and that was at one point the pariah of video games. Well, that's kind of stupid. Okay then. It's at this point that this level becomes so much better. You got this dynamic environmental mechanic in the light of the sun, you're given another vehicle to play with, and for what seems like the first time in ages, you destroy the big bad weapon by not having to shoot at it. With the Almighty's weapon out of commission, we can finally move in on the city and free the Traveler.
That's a good job, Colonel.
Get it? Cause the chicken threw off the Centurion. It's random. Random is funny, right?
You need to get moving.
Ikora, Cade is in place and I'm en route. Good luck, Guardian.
Oh, fuck off. You didn't earn that shit. Actually, hold on a minute. This cutscene right here, I can't even explain how bad it is in a reasonable amount of time, so I'm just going to let it play in full, just so you can comprehend just how jarring and confusing it is. Have a look.
Go. The enemy attacks the city, and the Almighty is lost.
Lost? Explain yourself.
Laid waste by the very same Guardian that somehow managed to reclaim its power and has been humiliating our forces throughout this cursed system. You would know this if you hadn't been wasting your time communing with a machine and the creature who claims to speak with.
Take care of your tone, Consul.
My tone? Huh. We will fail in our mission to secure this power and deliver our people. for the first time in the glorious history of the Red Legion, fail because of you and your preoccupations. Look at your Traveler, Dominus. The cage is complete. The time is now. Claim what is rightfully yours and take this power.
Tell me, Speaker, what more does the Traveler want of me?
Go. I speak for the Traveler. I never said it spoke to me.
This fixation is over. You have already been chosen, not by some inert machine, but by me. I chose you the day I found you. Remember who you are, what you are. You are Cabal. Cabal wait for nothing. You will take the light. Do what you swore, and give me the vengeance you promised. Look at me, student. Look at me!
I will do what I swore, old friend. I am Gaul, and I will take the light.
What the actual fuck? I have many questions about this cutscene. Chief among them being, what the fuck was the point of any of these Gaul cutscenes? So after all of that, after all of that development of Gaul and his desire to fairly earn the light rather than take it, all that these scenes managed to accomplish was to again reaffirm that Gaul is gonna take the light, kill off the consul, who got little to no real characterization beyond he trained Gaul, and kill off the speaker who, one, isn't even relevant because he never did a fucking thing in the first game, and two, I'm not even 100% sure he was killed! We never even saw the fatal blow! All we saw was that the consul pushed a button and the speaker daintily fell to the ground. What, was he on life support in that contraption? I don't know, because this whole sequence was so poorly choreographed and explained nothing! This scene is on par with the infamous I don't have time to explain why I don't have time to explain scene. It's laughably terrible. Oh my god. So anyway, you make it back to Earth in time to join the assault in the city, and for the sake of time, I'm just going to speed through this. The vast majority of this mission is once again just more shooty bang bang, and oh, wait a minute. Is this a stealth section where you have to sneak past these sleeping war beasts? Nah, that's too complicated a mechanic for Bungie. You can literally sprint past these beasts and they won't wake up or attack. And after a little more shooty bang bang, you finally meet with Gaul for the last time.
Fitting your Traveler would send you to face me once more. Look upon me, Dominus of the Red Legion, Annihilator of suns, Raiser of 1,000 worlds, Slayer of gods and conqueror of the light! I am Gaul!
And I have become legend.
Now, I've already spent the vast majority of this video completely shitting on this dumpster fire excuse of a story Bungie has on display here, so I'm going to start with the positives. Positive, I should say. It's singular. The final boss is mounds better than the final boss of Destiny 1. That said, that doesn't really stop it from being a terrible boss battle. End of. Fundamentally, Gaul is no different than any other bullet sponge boss you fought throughout the entire game. The only difference here is that Ghaul's attacks change elements. That's it. Oh, and there are these wells that give you a free super, but this entire fight is so completely unsatisfying. His powers aren't even all that different from each other. Most of his attacks involve jumping in the air and lobbing projectiles at you, with the occasional shield. There's no challenge, no satisfying conclusion, just a meaningless cookie-cutter, ultimately boring as sin boss battle. Oh, but that's not even the kicker to this shit show of a conclusion. After beating Ghaul, he turns into this big goopy monster thing for some reason. Yeah, that's just a thing that happens for no discernible reason. And finally, after all this time, after years of waiting for it to finally do something, the Traveler wakes up and kills Ghaul. Yeah, the one part of this whole ordeal that could have been a really cool boss battle is Deus Ex Machina'd out of existence by a big magic ball said to have been dead all this time. But even if I could forgive this massive plot convenience, I still do have to wonder, why now? Why after hundreds of your lightless guardians have been killed, would you choose now to finally delete the being who held you in that cage for so long? This plot convenience isn't even a fun plot convenience. It just makes me ask more questions that I know I'll never get an answer to. And to add the final kick in the groin to anyone who had hoped that Destiny 2 would deliver on the storytelling front, we're basically told that the real meat of the story is coming in DLC. Fuck you. So we're finally done with this colossal disaster of a story campaign. In no way was it the fresh cinematic campaign that Bungie hyped it up to be. In no way did it make me forget about the first game's narrative issues. In fact, I was consistently reminded of Bungie's incompetence throughout the entire fucking thing. And in no way could I ever recommend this game for anyone who wants to learn more about or at least get invested in the universe of Destiny. And that's perfectly fine. At this point, I've long since accepted that games of this nature don't have very good campaigns, or at least don't have them presented well. Hell, some of them have downright terrible story campaigns. But even I've tolerated games like the original Destiny and The Division simply because of the draw for loot. The perfect role in Destiny, the best version of the Hellfire in Borderlands, the best sword in Diablo, you name it. There's always something tangible to strive for in these grindy games. Of course, it's not just the loot itself that matters, the actual grind for that loot has to be enjoyable as well. I tell you, if Warframe didn't have the huge variety of ways to slaughter your enemies that it did, I can assure you that I wouldn't have tried nearly as hard for my Tigress Prime because I would have been long out of the equation before I even got one of its parts. What I'm saying is, if I'm not having fun while I'm doing this grinding, then what's the point? So with that said, I can't come back to Destiny 2 for its story because it's just so childishly written and boring to play through. But can the game draw me back for hours to come with the grind in mind? Well, let's have a look. So first thing you'll notice when you open your character menu is that the weapon slots are slightly different than the last game. The weapons this time are split between non-elemental kinetic weapons, energy weapons which do have an element and consist of the same weapon types as kinetic weapons, and heavy weapons. Many people have criticized this new system for nerfing PvE damage in favor of PvP, but this is actually one of the new systems that I really don't mind too much. I mean, any system that lets me equip an auto rifle, hand cannon, and a shotgun at the same time gets a pass from me. One system that I do find completely fucking garbage is what they've done with the subclasses. It's not too bad when you're first playing through the game, as the progression is something similar to just, a simple RPG. You level up, you get a point, you upgrade your class with that point, repeat. The problem arises when you discover that the only choices you can make with these subclasses is what jump, grenade, and class ability you want to use, and which of the two collection of 4 upgrades you can use. That's it. Why did they do this, you might be asking? Well, Project Lead Mark Noseworthy has your answer.
Actually, I was hoping you could talk about a few of those small touches, because they're actually, if you go in the subclass menu, right, it's different now, which was like, everyone takes that first, like, oh my god.
Yeah, like the first thing is that the subclass menu has, a couple basic choices about your class ability, and then, movement mode and grenade, and then you pick your super, but then there are 2 paths, right? We're trying to make it easier for people to have like an optimal build and just focus. These 4 elements go together. They do them, and you can play it in a certain way. And then there's these other distinct 4 elements that work together. Instead of like, Luke would like look at me, he never plays a game with me. I'm just like not good enough for him or whatever. But he like inspect my character all the time to just like make sure I'm playing and stuff. Or he can like rag me at the office. And he's like, what the hell are you doing with your like Warlock, man? You got this helmet on with that thing, and you got this thing all agility.
Where's your
like
Viking funeral?
This is, you got to set up all wrong. Like, what do you even know how to play this game? And I'm like all ashamed, and now like I can't really screw that up.
actually fucking kidding me? Are you even real? Do you even listen to yourself when you spit that garbage into the goddamn microphone? Right. So let me try to break down exactly what this fucking moron is saying. Basically, Bungie thinks their player base is too fucking thick to make their own decisions. They literally took players using things like the Ram as a Sunsinger in Destiny 1 as inspiration for dumbing down the skill trees. Oh, it's okay, little Johnny. I know all these choices are really scary. Let Big Brother Bungie help you out. There you go. No more scary decisions. You know, this might not even be that bad if there were maybe 4 or 5 paths per subclass, but there are only 2 different ways to play them. All you even had to do was just do the same fucking thing you did before, but with 3 new subclasses. That's it! But no, we get a single new subclass, and only 2 reasonable choices to make with them. Fan-fucking-tastic. But Mr. Hebrew, they did it so it would be easier to balance PvP. You know what that tells me? That tells me that a certain mode is keeping PvE from being good. I wonder what that mode is. Now, that's not me saying that Destiny 2's PvP is bad. In fact, I think it's a big improvement over the first game. But if I had to choose between a PvE game with desirable loot and fun gameplay and a mediocre PvE game with a passable PvP arena that I'm almost never going to play all that much, well, I think my reasoning speaks for itself. Alright, so we've established that you'll be essentially doing the exact same thing gameplay-wise, so I guess if you're stepping into the Destiny universe for the first time with this game, I guess you're fine. What about the loot? The entire reason why people even play this game. Don't worry, ladies and gentlemen, Big Brother Bungie just couldn't fucking help themselves. Now, if I could just redirect your attention to this legendary weapon I managed to nab while I was gathering footage, this is the Bad News Hand Cannon. It's a pretty bog-standard pistol, but let's have a look at some of its perks. Now, it already comes pre-upgraded, which is fine, but what about the actual perks? Alright, cool stuff. I also happen to have another one of these pistols. It's a duplicate. So let's check that one out. It's the same fucking thing. There is literally no difference between duplicate loot in this game. Okay, so duplicate weapons have the exact same stuff no matter what. To offset this, I bet there's a ton of new loot in this game, right? Have you not been paying attention? Bungie is mortified by proper game development. Less than a few days into Destiny 2, and I feel like I've already seen almost all of the loot in the game. Whether that means there's barely any loot in the game or Bungie insists on giving me my 20 millionth Flash and Thunder grenade launcher is your call, but my point is that there is no reason to grind for anything in this game because it feels like there's nothing to grind for. This is to say nothing about how you actually earn loot in this game. The majority of your loot in Destiny 2 is going to be earned through this new token system. When you're doing public events, lost sectors, and opening chests in different areas, you'll be collecting tokens specific to that area as well as planetary resources, which you can turn in with the vendor on that planet to get some legendary loot. This system works well enough until you realize that almost every activity in the game uses this system. Most of them offer a chance of this loot for simply playing, but they're so few and far between that the tokens are the most reliable source for this loot. For something like Strikes and Crucible, that's not much of an issue since they're almost infinitely replayable. In a literal sense, not like in the sense of them being so good that you should play them again and again. But the kick in the nuts comes from its implementation for the raid in the Trials of Osiris. I can't really go on for very long with Trials since I played like 2 matches, threw my hands up and said fuck this shit, but I did play some of the raid, and let me put it this way. Remember when you beat a checkpoint in the King's Fall or Wrath of the Machine raids, and the chest would always drop loot for that checkpoint, even if it's a duplicate? Yeah, in this game, when you complete a checkpoint, you have a chance for actual loot, but are guaranteed to get Callus tokens, which you turn into, wait for it, the lone sweeper bot from the beginning of the game. Yeah, that's a thing. Who actually thought this was a good idea? Who thought it was a fantastic idea to make it so that players can potentially waste hours of their life doing this tedious mess of a raid to maybe walk away with 1 or 2 pieces of loot? What the fuck? I don't know what your fixation is on this retarded token system, Bungie, but I can tell you for certain that players who play the game solely for loot want loot for the shit that they do, not a chance for it. This system would be better off as like a supplementary system of loot, and you know, you actually put tangible legendary loot in, say, oh, I don't know, the chests that these fucking guys drop? Oh, they dropped their plunder? Well, by plunder, you mean one fucking token. Why not put some loot in those chests? And just look at the shit you can get in the raid. What the fuck is this shit? It looks terrible. Remember this? And this? This shit's cool. You've got all sorts of glowy shoulder spikes, digital shoulder pads, those little tentacle things on your back. What happened to those? The only good-looking armor set in this game is the Iron Banner set and maybe some of the new Monarchy sets. Everything else is just so bland-looking. You can also get engrams in Destiny 2, but I have to ask, what exactly is the point of engrams now? In the first game, when you decrypt an engram, not only do you get the loot, but you increase your Cryptarch reputation, which can give you extra engrams and even allows you to buy legendary engrams. In this game, you can only carry a very small amount of engrams, including your bright engrams that you can get by leveling or buying them. And when you decrypt them, you get the loot, and that's it. No rep, no engram buying, just the loot. What exactly is the point of this? Why not just give us the loot outright instead of wasting our time by leaving for the tower, waiting for it to load, walking over to Rahul, and then getting them? Maybe it's just a subtle ploy to get you to visit the Eververse shop and buy some engrams. Hey, you're already here in the tower. Got some bright engrams? Oh, that's cool. That's cool. Maybe mosey on over here to open those. Yeah, the Cryptarch can't do that. Well, we can. We can, yeah. Hey, well, while you're here, why not offload some of your cash in your pocket and get some more, huh? Come on. You know you want that salt emote. Just a little cash. It'll be worth it, I promise. So yeah, the story's shit, the loot sucks, the grind is tedious, but there's one more thing that I want to talk about regarding this game. For those of you who are still with me, I'm honestly shocked you even made it this far, considering this is the first time I've ever made something this long. But nonetheless, I thank you for enduring my rambling nonsense. We're almost at the finish line, I promise. Anyway, I can't finish this review without talking about Bungie and their ludicrous method for patching games. I don't think it's much of a secret that Bungie isn't exactly the brightest engram in the ripoff shop when it comes to balance patches, or actually any patchwork period. Destiny 1's updates were a bit of a mess, and I know some of you might feel compelled to argue the points that I've made about Destiny 2 by claiming that Bungie has already said they intend to do something about the terrible endgame, the consumable shader problem, etc. Well, first of all, it shouldn't have been a problem in the first place, but I think I can thank Bungie's recent patch regarding the new Faction Rally event for essentially confirming the road ahead for any of those counter-arguments. So, you have faith that Bungie is going to fix these problems properly, right? Well, during the first Faction Rally event, people found an exploit with the supplies that you can destroy on lost sectors, which allowed them to farm hundreds of tokens for their respective factions. The thing was, you can walk into a lost sector on Titan, destroy all of the supplies, which gave you 1 token per supply cache, walk out of the lost sector, walk back in, and repeat for an hour. Bungie, and their debilitating fear of players farming for loot in their fucking looter shooter game, patched the game for the most recent Faction Rally, stating that destroying the supplies alone wouldn't be enough anymore. Now you wouldn't get those tokens until you killed the boss and opened the chest in the lost sector to get those tokens. Alright, I can get behind that. But, see, let me just explain exactly how this works, okay? It's true that you have to kill the boss in the lost sector to open the chest in it and get your tokens. But here's the thing. You don't have to destroy any of the supply caches for the tokens. In fact, you could ignore them completely and you'll get the same amount of tokens from the chest. So, Bungie, I have to inquire. What the fuck was the point of even putting these goddamn supply drops in these fucking lost sectors if they do fuck all for the event? This level of half-assed patchwork in AAA games is something that you can only really see from Bungie. Oh, what's this? A DLC for December 5th? Oh boy, I can't wait for the rest of Destiny 2 to come with it. Only what, $15, $20? I don't give a fuck. Fuck this game, dude. Remember that scoring system I used in my E3 video? You know what? Let's just run it back. Let's bring that back. So, quick recap. Story, it's fucking terrible. Loot, boring. It just isn't worth grinding for. Raid, I'm not exaggerating when I say it is the worst raid to be released in both Destiny games. The Crucible, passable. And it's crystal clear that the future is not bright for this game. If the graphics and music weren't as amazing as they were, this game could easily be one of the worst RPGs I've ever played. I'm being super fucking generous when I say that Destiny 2 is worthy of nothing more than a D fucking plus. Why the plus? Because of this.
goes nothing.
I've got a perfect puzzle for you.